Okay, so the people we're getting signatures from, who are these people? Well, they have to be 18 years old, they have to be registered to vote here in Indiana, and they also have to be living here in Indiana, okay? And the ideal situation is, of course, wherever they're registered to vote, they're still living at that spot, because they should have updated that if they've moved. You have to be, again, honest about the petition. Are you interested in supporting RFK Jr.? Would you like to help us get him on the ballot? Okay, they have to answer yes to both those questions, or otherwise they cannot sign it, okay? Now, in doing this, some of these people are going to come from way, way different backgrounds than you. And it's very important not to argue about anything. If they say they don't want to support him, this is not the time to be trying to gather votes, okay? This is not that time, because we got to get him on the ballot first, all right? And what that means is, if they say no, you just move on. We have to get, 40 to 60,000 signatures. This isn't time to be arguing with these people, okay? There's also the chance that some people are going to come up and ask you about Mr. Kennedy's positions or policies. You need to try and give them the best answer that you can, and preferably in his own words, okay? And even as brief as you can. There is a website, www.kennedy24.com, that they can go to that has a list of his major policies, and then in the facts section, or the FAQ section, there is a list of some other sort of minor questions and answers. They can also, we now have a call center, so there's a phone number on the website. They can contact us, and they can actually call us. And we need to use those resources to try and move through as many people as possible, but you also have to be sort of aware, because if you have somebody coming up to you and they're like, I can't access the internet, or I don't like doing that, then it's probably better for you to talk to them, but don't get in an argument about a policy with them, okay? You have no control over his policies. You can't change his policies, and you are probably not going to change their mind in the brief interaction that you have with them. And that goes into the fact there are some people out there, and I'm sure you know some of them, who live for getting people upset. They live for making people angry. And if they can have you in a Kennedy outfit, with your Kennedy button and your Kennedy hat and your Kennedy shirt, throwing a temper tantrum and yelling at them, and perhaps their friend recording you, and they can put it on YouTube, why, you just made their day. So if you notice, this is why it's good to go out with somebody else, and if you notice you're getting upset, or somebody else with you is getting upset because somebody is drilling you or whatever, this is the point where you can say, hey, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, and you need to walk away, okay? And you can hopefully, if your partner with you interrupts you and says, hey, we're all just going to have to agree to disagree, you can realize that that's kind of the cue. This person's trying to get to you, and you need to walk away. And even if you need to go take a break because that person was that bad, do it, okay? Because it's not worth it. It's not worth making those people's days and making them happy at your expense, okay? That said, people are different, come from different backgrounds, and please never assume that someone is just like you, or that someone is like somebody you really dislike, or that a person is a Democrat or a Republican. I've been volunteering for about 2 months, and I think every volunteer realizes that there's always that time you're going to get on the phone with somebody, and they are going to be so much like you, and you're going to think, wow, this person must have this viewpoint, and then either you're going to say, oh, this, and they'll be like, oh, I don't believe that at all, and go off, or, you might not. You might just barely save yourself. So if they haven't told you their position on abortion, or they haven't told you their position on the environment, never assume what it is, okay? Even if they have far right ideas about one thing, they could have very far left ideas about another, And it's very important that we don't get involved in creating more divides, because the whole purpose of this campaign is to bring people together, and most of Mr. Kennedy's policies are at a line between the left and the right to try and do that. So, once you've established with them that they are 18, they can vote in Indiana because they're a registered voter, and that they are currently living in Indiana. This is when you can have them sign the petition if they are planning to vote for Mr. Kennedy, and if they want to see him on the ballot, which most people planning to vote for him are going to want him on the ballot because it's a whole heck of a lot easier. You need to make sure, as I said, in the petition module, that you get their signature, their printed name, and like I said, those two should match. The date of birth with the month, day, and 4-digit year. Their voter's actual residence, so their address, where you have their street address, and then you will have their city or town, and then their zip code. You do not need their state because everybody should be from the state of Indiana. And that is what you would have them put on the ballot access petition in their hand. They have to write it themselves. Again, I said before, we will cover disabilities in a different module, but for most purposes, they need to write it themselves. If you write it for them, if, you know, a husband and wife are there and the wife puts down the husband's name for him, they are going to catch that. There's going to be the exact same writing, and they are going to be all over that.